Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here, continuing to work on the axle support system for the Cub Cadet Mini-Dozer. Last time we fabricated the supports for this side of the tractor, and I've been working the past week. It's been a week since I last uploaded a video. Working on the other side of the tractor. So I've got all that stuff fabricated, and I just finished priming. These are for the right side, and these are for the far side. This is the support channel for the far side, the standoff. The standoff channel for the near side is right here already attached, and I just have a tiny little tack weld there to hold it in place. I kept running my legs into the clamps I had sticking out. Anyway, I'm going to wait for the primer to dry, and we'll go on to the next step, which is welding up the stub shafts, reattaching them for their final assembly, and then installing the supports on this side, welding the standoff channels on both sides, and finishing up this installation. So stick around, let's see how it goes. I've removed the stub shafts from the hubs. I'd marked them at the end, outside end of the bearing, and I'm cutting them about a 1/2 inch long. Look who just came in. There's my butchie boy. And of course here comes Brutus, Mr. Brew Brew. How you guys doing, huh? What's going on outside? Huh? What's going on outside? Has it started to rain yet? We had a couple of really nice days this week, up in the 60s and almost 70, but it's cooler today, 50 something, and it looks like it's going to rain. I think it's a 50% chance of rain. You guys looking for something to eat? Brutus hitting his dish. What about a snack? What about a treat? You guys need to sit. Let's sit. Let's sit. Sit. Good boys. All right, one for you. Whoops. Drop that one. They love those treats. All right, I'm set up to drill the holes for the cotter pins in each of the stub shafts. I'm gonna put I got my stub shafts all cut off and drilled. I'm gonna reassemble them. Alright, we'll go back to the welding bench and weld these up. And on this first one I welded all the way around, but it's really not necessary because these nuts are tight and have clamped this plate on the shaft, and I went ahead and just tacked the threads on the nuts so the nut can't come undone. So that's what I wound up doing on the last three. It's pretty tough without a rotary table, positioning table to do this, and I actually got a little lump here which keeps this from fitting inside the wheel. A little overzealous with the yeah, I've definitely kind of created a problem with this one. Wasn't thinking clearly. So I need to grind this bead down a little bit so it clears the hole in the wheel. All right, I'll let it cool and I'll do that. All right, we'll come back after these cool, remount them, and then start working on the C channel, attaching the C channel to the track frame. Alright, so I've got the standoff channel clamped on. Welding it, warped it just a little bit, so this will pulls it flush with the track frame. So I'll tack it a couple places here, pretty solid, and then we'll pull the clamps off and finish welding it. I think it's in good shape right now. I've got the axle supports in place here on this side now. They've been primed on the back side. They haven't been primed on the front here. All of the bolts are tight. I have the standoff frame tacked to the track frame. I've got it jacked up off the floor. I can put this piece of rectangular tubing through the frame and using the jack lift this side of the tractor off the floor. So I'm going to go. All right, so I'm going to run it here and just make sure I don't have any issues with the axles and make sure nothing is binding up. think they worked great. That was fine. So I think that was a successful test, quick test. I was looking at the inside part of the axle, where the axle comes out of the axle housing for any deflection or movement, and it looked steady. So I think we're ready to finalize these, weld off the standoff channels, and paint it. We'll be done. All right, got the welds done on the standoff C channel. Surprised at how easy it was to get a decent weld underneath. I hadn't done much welding in that position, you know, basically, you know, maybe horizontal or slightly overhead. But they turned out fine. The beads on top turned out fine. Happy with that. All right, let it cool. We're going to paint it and then move on to something else. Where are my puppies? There's my Bruchie, there's my Brew Brew. How are we doing today, huh? We being good boys? What's the weather like out there? It's supposed to have been raining for the past 2 days. But these are good boys. You're my good boys. All right, guys, that wraps up this week's work. Got the outboard axle supports finished. Coat of primer on them. I'll finish up with a coat of paint off camera. We'll come back next week and redo the stabilizer, the blade stabilizer. So it's this component here, which has interference with the blade mount. So got a plan to modify this, and we'll come back next week, cut out some parts on the plasma table, weld them up, replace that stabilizer with one that has a little more clearance. And I'm still looking at other things. There's a lot of stuff ultimately I could do to the tractor. You know, one more thing. I mean, I'll give you a list of a couple things I'm thinking about. This mount location for this cylinder, it would be better if it were here. So I could fashion a longer bracket. It would stick up above this pin, this bolt. This is what holds the blade, the top of the blade tube in place. So we'd like to mount it here. That would give me a different angle and the ability to tilt the blade up more. So that's a possible change. Another change is the controls. I might want to move them, bend, and have them come up over here, closer to the dash. Because right now they're pretty close to the operator, between your legs. It'd be nicer, I think, if they were a little closer to the dash. I mean, you're only moving them, you know, a couple inches. So having them a couple inches close to the dash might be another change. I know there were a lot of comments some weeks ago about what to do about the dash. I really haven't decided yet. There were some good suggestions about a tachometer or an hour meter or, you know, something like that, and those are all good ideas. Someone else suggested a backup light. So that's another possibility. So there's still some stuff that we can do to this, but after next episode, I think, you know, my focus is going to shift to some other projects. And there have been a lot of questions about what the next project's going to be. I've got shop projects and boat projects and some other stuff around here that I want to spend some time working on. I'll share them with you. Hopefully you'll find them interesting. I am still thinking about the next big project. There have been a lot of suggestions for the next project, and you know, excavator, dump truck, you know, other stuff. There is one thing I've been interested in doing, and that attempting is an articulated vehicle. So the challenge is there of the drive shaft through the articulating joint, either a CV or some set of universal joints, and the hydraulics that cause it to steer. So, you know, that's what I'm thinking. That would entail basically buying at least one more Cub Cadet tractor. I do have a couple of extra transmissions. I've got this this rear end here, which is the transaxle, so that's good. I've got this other later model hydrostat and transaxle, and as far as I know, it's good. So I could put this hydrostat on the other transaxle. This is an aluminum transaxle. I prefer, I think, to use the other one, which is cast iron. But I could take the hydrostat off that and put it on that one. I believe I can do that. To check the pinion gear. That's something I hadn't thought about. Pinion gear, if they would match up. I do have another hydrostat here, so here's another possible one. So I've got, you know, some of the components I need. I would need a basic tractor to start with, and most of the articulated tractors, and you can go on YouTube and internet and search and see a lot of them. One of them is called Arty, which is pretty cool, but most of those are with Quiet Line and 82 series tractors. I'm a fan of the earlier series, the wide frame, which is what this is. Wide frame tractor was a 129. Most of the hood and jet dash and stuff are from a 129, even though the frame is from a 1450. One of the frames is from a 1450, the other from a 1210. So an articulated vehicle of some sort, four-wheel drive, articulated tractor would be cool, but I haven't even really started anything on that yet. All right, so I'm going to sign off for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll come back next week, finish up the stabilizer, and then we'll take the tractor out and we'll use it some and see how it works. And maybe we'll even get the grader out and see which one works best. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.